Well, I'm on to this. So my subject is spellcasters. And can you believe there's a better, is there ever a more perfect? Have you any idea how many spells you're under? So we'll get to that later. But I wanted to start with picturing kind of an overview of why I even chose this subject. And like what's going on in our world today, that I would choose a topic like this. Because, I don't think we realize that we're living in the most pivotal time in the history of humanity. That's a big, huge sentence, so I'm going to say it again. The most pivotal time in the history of humanity. You can't afford not to know about everything you can about what it is to be alive today. Let me just put some of the things on the board that are happening now that have never happened before. That are coming together now while you are alive. And then remind yourself that you are alive. First, we are the generation since the nuclear age, we of the nuclear age, who have grown up with media. Media has been such an influence on us. It's been like having another set of parents, another set of influences that no other generations before have ever had. You're so accustomed to that you don't even think about the influence of having this thing in your house that you turn on and it talks to you all day, or your children. That you would have that going on 24/7. And a computer system and an internet, that it would be going on 24/7. Okay, I'm about to have, and I don't want you to miss what I'm saying, so I'm going to pause for a second. Just right behind me so I can draw on that. That would be great. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Got it. We tend not to really pay attention to or think about our own world in the size and in the scope of the elements that are happening. But we are the people of the psychic era. And these are the factors that you really, really, really need to kind of add to what's happening in you and around you and that are reshaping you, because this is something that is characteristic of a spell people are under. And that's that you think you're in charge of yourself. And that's a spell. One of the characteristics of people that I meet is that they think that they are independent and they don't like to be given orders. Do you like to be given orders? No. And yet, you are the ones who are most controlled by the outside world. You are the ones that are most influenced by everything you see in the media. You are the ones who are most controlled and the ones that don't want to be controlled. And yet you are the ones who are most controlled by advertising, by what you see in the media, by the influences around you. You are the least independent, but you think you're the most. Do you see what I'm saying to you? And all of those are interesting spells that what qualifies as a spell is a thought form, a perception that gets into your head, that has influence over you, what Buddha would call an illusion, what Jesus would call being in the world, but not of the world. Why is this so important? I want to just draw something. I'm going to draw you. And as I talk, this is the icon I use all the time. But this is how I want you to think of yourself all day as I talk about you. This little drawing, which looks totally insignificant, is totally significant. As a medical intuitive, what I learned is that we really do have an energy field around us. And that we have moved into the era in which learning to manage our energy is actually the next lesson of our time. Learning to manage this, and I'm going to use another word for it. The word is power. So the word I want to use now, and the word that you're going to think about for the rest of your life is this. Everything you do is a negotiation of power. Everything. Everything you wear, everything you buy, everything you say, everything you hear is you negotiating power with the person you're looking at. Every place you sit, absolutely every decision you make in your life is about power. Will this cost me power? Will I get power? Will this person humiliate me as a way of saying, will this person steal my power in a horrid way? Everything in life is a calculation of power. That is the word I want you to actually get. We've never thought in terms of power before, but we've crossed the energy Rubicon. And now we're beginning to measure ourselves, our health, our sense of who we are, with the ingredient of power. We say things like, I have to take my power back. We never spoke that way before, ever. My parents never said that. Did yours? No. But now you do. Now you do. Now you're beginning to sense yourself as a being of power. You're beginning to connect a dot. That I think that my power might be my most important ingredient in my life. It may be my life ingredient. Maybe the object of life is for me to become very shrewd about managing my power. That everything I say, every word, everything is a power calculation. So I'm going to hit a pause button here. I'm going to come over here and add this. And that's that in these last years, decades, everybody has become hypersensitive. Almost to the point where I don't want to see any of you. But truth be known, but neither do your friends want to see you. I'll be the delivery girl with the message. Everybody can't get over themselves. You think that your opinions are so important. They're not. I'm going to deliver the goods. You think that every one of your emotions should be listened to because they're so important. They're not. They're boring. Here, I'll sit down for this. You can't get over how significant every one of your feelings are. They're not. Nobody wants to hear it. I'll be the delivery messenger here. But you think everything is worth processing. It's not. But you can't get over how much someone says one word to you and you're like, did you hear what he said? No. And I don't care. But you can't get over it. So we're going to get to your rule book in a minute, later. But this is what's important, is that all of you are waking up to look at the power one word has. This is the lesson. Look at the power one word has. Look at the power one opinion has. We are redefining power completely differently. Whereas our elders, previous generations, completely defined power by substance, force, brutality, stuff. We of the energy generation are pioneering this idea that power is in an energetic, how big are energetic units of power? How much power is in an energetic exchange? Well, you said this, and the result was, well, I was disempowered. For how long? Well, 30 years, actually. Well, what the hell? Get a backbone. But we are working through a very different concept of the power of our energy system and our life, of the power that's contained. And this level of power is subjective. It's behind our eye, not in front of it. So if I said the word blue to you, blue doesn't mean anything to me, but to you it could activate a trauma. And all of a sudden you said, but you said the word blue? And, well, it set me reeling into traumas that were da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What we are discovering is that each of us lives in our own reality. And what we also need to discover and realize is our reality is not the center of the universe, which is a real shock. It's a real shock. This is a Copernicus moment for us. We are not the sun with, that revolves around. We have got to kind of understand that every single person has his or her own reality, and we're on our own here. We're on our own. Ergo, the shapeshifter is going to play a huge role in this. We shape our own realities. That was the whole lesson of Buddha. Now, back here, years ago, when I started to do readings, one of my first great learning lessons was that our power really does leave our energy system. And we really do attach ourselves to our thought forms, perceptions, and these become our stories that we tell ourselves, our attitudes, our archetypal narratives that we engage in ourselves. Myths, narratives that, here's a word that's a big one that we're going to deal with, entitled. But I'm entitled to that. Every one of you can fill out 10 things you actually believe you're entitled to. You're not entitled to anything. And that's the truth. None of us is. None of us is. But we will tell ourselves that we are entitled. And we'll build our lives around this idea. But I'm entitled to be first, to be this, to be that. This is a spell we are under. And in this moment right now that we are living in, there are a number of global spells that are getting broken. And there are a number of people that are serving in the breaking of those spells. And nobody likes a spell getting broken. Nobody. So when it comes to doing a reading, and I'm reading you, what I look at is where you are losing your power. Now, in your own life, here's a simple question. A simple question. I want you all to think of a power control issue in your life that drives you absolutely crazy. What causes you to lose it? Lose it, just like that. Don't agree with me. What is it? What kind of thing causes you to lose it? Just like that. Yeah. Your mother. Because what does your mother do? What's the issue? What's the thing? But it's not about your mother. What's about you? You have to answer from you. I'm not interested in your mother. What is it that she activates in you? Now here's my pause button. One of the words that is a spell is blame. I get to blame someone. Now you're blaming your mother for your behavior. So, what pattern that gets activated in you? So it's the spell that I'm not enough. I've got a not enough spell on me.
Yeah, but there's another one which is I'm too much.
You can't make up your mind.
No, I do both. I don't do enough for her, but I'm also too much.
You do too much and she just doesn't acknowledge you.
I am too much.
You are too much. You're just too much.
I threaten her superiority.
Right. Right, okay, so the bottom line is this. Your mom cannot empower you because then you'll leave her. Ooh. Wow, never thought of that. That's all this gig is. This is the classic parent who can't empower the child because then the child will leave the parent. That's all this is. It's one of the oldest stories in the book. So the only way to do it is to say, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. Keep breaking your leg as you try and walk out the door. That's what this story is. And all the child does is come back and say, now am I enough? What if I do more? What if I do more? What if I do more? It will never be enough because then the mother will say, now you're free to go. That's what this story is. Get the story. That's the spell. Really, it's as simple as that. I'll be damned. And then once it makes sense, then what? No. The only way you break a spell is to actually choose a different behavior. Your mind won't help you. Yeah. You actually need to introduce different vocabulary and to change the behavior. Otherwise, you're just fantasizing. Which is why the mind needs as much healing as the rest of the body. Okay, what else? No, let's do this. Do me a favor. I speak in sentences, and you speak in sentences. Otherwise, I have to fill out the sentence for you, and it's not fair. So go ahead, give me your whole sentence. Your children make you angry because?
Because they don't listen to me when I think they should.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't have them. I know what kind of, yeah, I get it. I know. I don't blame you. That's what I call righteous anger. So you're not going to get an argument from me. I know. I hear you. And really. And I say, from my point of view, I who was raised by a U.S. Marine, do what you got to do. No, I'm really not the person to advise, because I really am the sort that says, give me, first of all, I'm a real lean kind. I mean, I really would be like, I'm a tough ass when it comes. I don't give kids permission to do anything. I'm so not the person to ask. I'm not kidding you. I'm just really like, I mean, I took my 19-year-old nephew in when he was really having trouble. I took him in the house. I'm real close to the kids too, by the way. Very, very, very close to all the kids. And he was with me, he was with me for 19 months. He was in his 20s. He was out of school. I was helping him repair, and one day I walked in, and I saw that living with me was weakening him. It was not having. I was helping him prepare for law school. I was taking care of his bills. I was doing everything, trying to nurture. I was doing all kinds of things. And then I spotted that it was turning against him. And I said, come here. You have 12 hours. Pack up and get out. That I am now disempowering you, and that's not going to happen on my watch. No, out. But Auntie, out. Out. You are now taking advantage. And you don't even get it, but I do. I see it. Out. That fast. I said, and it may take you 4 years to realize what I'm doing. I have to say something that I live by, which is you make a tough decision. You've got to have the courage to be tough. It's not about, that's all I got to say. You got to have the, and it's not the first time. I mean, again and again and again, it's been about you got to be able to do what they need to have done with as much courage, and you've got to be willing to be disliked. I mean, they're, okay. And parents, they're nuts. These parents today. Okay. Yeah. What about his anger? It's at himself. You're angry at yourself.
I'm angry because I've based my personal value system about what's actually happening. If I see it for what it is, then it's okay. And if I'm not, because I'm busy, then I get angry there.
You know, this is really the truth. You got to have a set of values. You don't compromise. Your kids have got to be a priority, and you don't compromise. You're in conflict about whether or not they're your priority. You can't bullshit me. You really are not sure they're your priority. What do you mean? Precisely. They're not your priority. And so you have these episodic adventures with being a parent. And then you're angry and you're guilty. And that's what that's about. So you have to get my shoe up your tuchus and decide, I'm responsible for these two lives, because I see two of them. And you have to decide, these two human beings came down here and now they're on my watch. My watch. So go put your head in a toilet for 7 minutes, get your ass together, and decide, these human beings are on my watch. Yes or no? No, don't answer me. because I don't matter. They do. This is between you, your soul, your agreement to monitor two souls, and God, and looking at them and say, yes or no, yes or no, and what does that mean? What does that mean? It means yes or no. And episodic parenting is for the birds. Human beings are full-time. There it is. And work yourself in after hours the way you need to, because you can do that. You can make yourself work, and I don't mean how unrealistic. No. Human beings are full-time when they're little. They're demanding, and they're sticky, and they're all those things. But that's what it takes. I'm so old-fashioned when it comes to this. I know it's my values, but there it is. But we are demanding when we're little. That's just the way we are. And then when we're a little more mobile, you can be more mobile. Does that sound like not a bad answer? I'm just like tough as nails when it comes to you're all they got. Do a good job. Okay, enough. I have to go back to this. Now, this moment in time, I just want to give you a big, huge clock to look through. And that's that we're sitting on a precipice where everything in this universe is changing. I'm just going to name a few things that are changing the spells everybody is under. One, that we're the only planet with life on it. Do you know what a huge spell that is? That's such a huge spell that we've been living under for thousands of years, that we're the only planet with life. Now, you may think like breaking that spell is like no big deal, but let me tell you what comes down with that. All the religions. All the religions. So you don't realize how many of your myths and your spells are linked to that one spell. So let's just follow this through. What's happening simultaneously as I want you to just picture yourself standing on a cliff, looking at the galactic world at night, like through a Hubble telescope photograph, looking at this galactic world and realizing that you're alive at the time when this gargantuan myth, this gargantuan spell, that we're the only planet in this gargantuan, endless universe, and just drench yourself in Hubble telescope photographs, going out there past the Sombrero galaxy, past all the galaxies that they have been able to photograph, with the preposterous notion that this little planet is the only one populated, okay? And just think, what's the likelihood of that? I don't think so. So here we are, about to enter the galactic community. Now that's going to change the calculus of our lives.